Hey, what's up? We're live. Sorry about the 1 minute delay. Now I just prepared everything all the way till the last moment. This is why my hair is terrible. Just took a shower. And I'm gonna have to keep my eyes open to make sure. Actually, you don't need those for now. I'm gonna have to keep my eyes open and make sure that my Mac is actually charging. Because I just connected it in. I forgot it was disconnected. It's on 11%. And hopefully it'll go up to 12 because sometimes it has this issue where it won't charge. Oh, here we go. I got the 12, so it is charging. That's good news. Let me welcome everyone who is here. Polly X Parrot, exciting. And behind Liron, I'm so excited because I'm really bad at painting and drawing buildings. I will try my best. I'm going to show you. Today is going to be a special one. You're going to enjoy this one. Dave says, me too, MB, always looking to improve, but I'm getting there. Yes, definitely keep working at it. You will get there. Sorry if I have something in my teeth. Just ate real fast. Ate a bowl of spaghetti in about a minute and a half. And I'm drinking coffee. We have Christine Bourgeois says hi. We have Zion Alfred Dizon. Hello, guys. Hi, my friend. How are you? I believe that's the second time I see you here on a live stream. Thank you so much for coming back to another one. Gloria Clark. Hi, everyone. Everyone is so nice. Thank you so much for being here. And if you can, drop a like. It really helps the video reach more people. Let me switch angles here to my face. Computer's a little slow, but hopefully that'll solve itself out. Let me close some stuff. Hopefully you're not seeing it, but who knows. So I'm going to go like this. I have to remember to never open OBS in advance, my streaming software. Before I just had it open for an hour before I started streaming, and that's never ever good news because it slows down the computer and it compounds the longer it's open. So sorry if we're gonna have some technical issues here. Let me sort these out because I do have a special lesson for you today. Okay, I think it's gonna be really fun. Now, why is the computer barely moving? I don't know. I'm gonna just write the text message saying may experience some technical difficulties. Yeah, I know it keeps freezing. Sorry about that. Let me see what I can do about that. Everything looks fine on my end, so I don't know why that happens. Yeah, I don't know. That's strange. Let me see what I can... Okay, so now it should be better. Sorry about that. It'll take it a moment to go back to... Sorry in advance. I don't know why it's so slow. Honestly, I have no idea. Sometimes when the battery runs low, it goes a little slower. But in any case, I'm going to welcome everyone on board. I'm going to get a towel. One sec. Just one sec. I'm starting this one fairly sweaty because it is nerve-wracking. Okay, so now I think it should be better. I think we're good. Let me try. Wow, my hair is like the worst it's been. Let me do this. Okay. So trust me, this is going to be a really fun live stream. I just want to make sure that all the technical difficulties are out of the way. Let me know if it improves. Okay, let me know once it improves. And sorry about that. I'm going to go over some messages. Let me know once I'm not frozen. Yeah, frozen. Everyone's saying frozen. And because it's delayed, I'm going to see the unfrozen messages a little later than everyone else. So sorry about that. Maybe I should restart it. I don't know. Just let me know once it's not frozen. It should be good, but we'll see. What a nightmare. Let's see here. Let me test it out on my end. Let's see if I'm unfrozen now. Why is it so slow? I'm gonna close some windows. We'll see if that helps. Bye-bye to this Chrome window. You've been a good friend. Oh man, oh man. Okay. So I do see that it's slow on my end. Maybe I should restart it. Let me try. Maybe I can restart the stream somehow. But how should I do that? Never done that before. In any case, let me know once I'm no longer frozen. That's annoying. Hold on a second. So I'm gonna try and fix it, but do let me know if, for some reason, it improves. Otherwise, it's a fix I'll have to do next time. Still not good on my end. Okay. I'm looking for a solution. Yeah. Okay, so I found out, I think, what the issue was. Let me know if things kind of improve. Here's the thing. You should probably hear me now okay, but maybe not see me well, or maybe I'm frozen. So here's the thing. My OBS updated itself and decided to kind of go back to default settings. So the video was 1080p. And I never stream 1080p because my computer and internet connection is too slow for that. And it went to that for some reason. I usually do 720. So now, maybe I think it should work. I don't know why that happened. That is so bizarre. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. Now I see. Okay, we actually have a really, really nice session planned today. So I really wanted to make it work. And I love how YouTube shows me a message now. Please check the video resolution. The current resolution, 1280 on 720, is not optimal. Well, thank you. Before that, it just didn't work, so I have no choice. So yeah, sorry if sorry if the resolution's weird or something else is weird. What can you do? Sometimes that happens. So if you're late, you haven't missed on anything too badly. Please. I'm going to get started. If you're here, stay here. I think it should be good. Hopefully more people will get in because it's going to be an interesting one. But if people gave up, we're going to have a nice little smaller session, smaller scale, smaller audience, not shorter, because I have a couple of really cool things planned out for you. So, if you're here, thank you so much. Much appreciated. In just a moment, I'm going to go over some of the chat messages, but I really do appreciate it. You sticking around. Sorry for that. I will crack the code at some point and have settings that work well. It's just because of the connection. It's never fast enough, so you get these issues. If it was fast enough, then it wouldn't be an issue to go on a higher resolution. So sorry about that. We'll get started with today's lesson. It's going to be a fun one. So here's the thing. I'm working on a course for you that will hopefully blow people's minds. It's gonna be about painting realistically using black and white, and I'm on the cusp of figuring out how to teach this in an efficient way. And it's gonna be, I think, so now I see that the encoding is overloaded again. So let me know if I get stuck again. It kind of comes and goes, so we'll see about that. But in any case, the course I'm working on should get you to a point where you can paint realistically. And there is one thing I want to test out, this hypothesis, if you will. And let me know if it worsens. I see it worsens a bit again. But yeah, we'll see. That's so strange. I hope it doesn't come back. Anyway, okay, you just let me know. So I want to do an exercise today that will help you get to that point where you can paint realistically. Now, it has a couple of different components to it that in the course, once the course is out, I plan on tackling, okay? And those will be very important, but for now I just want to tackle one aspect, and that is shapes. In the last couple of videos, maybe I'll reduce the resolution more if necessary, but in the last couple of videos, of critique, what I mostly experienced is people that have an issue with painting the shapes they see and instead going for the lines. And just going for the lines is not a good enough of a solution, and you'll see why. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to go for shapes, because shapes are what makes things look good and realistic. Okay? So let me show you my desk here. Hopefully things won't slow down too badly. So what I have here is a reference photo and a drawing I made in advance. Now, if you visited the live stream page before, you may have the reference photos. Hopefully you do. Okay, so you see, well, that's good. And again, let me know if it freezes again, because I do see some, I don't know, some issues on my end. Maybe I'm imagining it, I don't know now. But in any case, so we have this reference photo, and we have the sketch here. Now, here's the thing. I based the sketch on this photo that I edited. The key, and I wrote this down. I'm going to go back to my notes because I'm super confused because of the whole technical issues. I'm kind of trying to regain my focus. Basically, reality is composed of shapes. And it's very hard to see those shapes when you're looking at this picture. You look at this picture, it's full of detail, it's beautiful, it's full of different things, okay, stuff. And what I want you to do is to avoid painting stuff and instead paint the shapes you see. So instead of using this, we'll be using this. And here it is much easier to see the shapes. Now we actually have quite a few demos to go through. We're going to have 3 hopefully. I don't know if that's going to happen because of all of the issues, but we will try. And the first one is very simple. It's all about painting the shapes as you see them. Now, a couple of important things. This is not about painting in 2 values, like I often show you how to simplify in 2 values and thus have an easier process. This is actually about painting the shapes as you see them, okay? And this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to get started with the first demo. Hopefully you will enjoy it. What I'm doing is basically, I made it super easy, so it's going to be a faster one, okay? I made it super easy because I already drew the thing in detail, and I also, if you'll notice, filled in the areas that should be dark, okay? Now let me zoom in just a bit here. Like this. Hopefully the tripod's not going to fall over. Just so that you can see some of the details better. Sorry about the shakiness. Here we go. Like that. Okay. So, and I'm just going to get started. And this is just like a coloring book in a way, okay? What I want you to learn how to do is just paint the shapes you see. And again, I'm going to reiterate. Yeah, okay. If there's trouble again, you'll let me know. I'm going to reiterate. This is not about painting in two values. The idea here is not the values, but rather the shapes. Okay, and I will show you two more examples, and you will get what I'm saying. Let me show you, for example, this is another thing we're going to work on later. And you see it's a bit of a different thing. So it's all about the shapes. In this example, I'm going for a two-value thing, yes. So I'm just going to paint the shapes as I see them. Okay? And this is a good way to be very prepared for what you're painting. To draw it as detailed as you can. This is tiny, as you can see by the size of my hand. This is really small. So basically, just to talk a bit about this, and I'll go back to some of my notes here. To talk about this image, I took the picture, opened it up on Photoshop, and used the posterize feature, as I've shown you before many times, and I reduced it to two values only, which gives us this beautiful, you see the shapes, I'm painting the shapes, which gives us this beautiful kind of black and white. Sometimes 3 will be better, sometimes 2 will be better, but again, it's not about the number of values, it's what number of values allows you to see the shapes most clearly, okay? And in this instance, to me, it was just 2 values. I'm going to show you again later an example where it's 3. And I'm just painting the shapes I see. And if we go back for a second here to the full reference, look at how hard of a time you'll have actually painting this and all of the details here. Even if you go black and white, it's just hard to see the shapes. You have to really take a few steps back, squint your eyes, and it's not always easy. So if you just do this, interpret it more in shape format, you'll have a much easier time. And that's our goal here. Okay, I'm going to show you some more interpretations later on. But for now, that's the point. And you have to remember, in real life, things are not composed of lines. There are no lines. There are only shapes. The only difference is here we're working on shapes that are of black over white. But in real life, the shapes come in all sorts of colors, temperatures, and so on. But what you want to practice is recreating the shapes you see as accurately as possible. Okay? So we have this kind of a window or doorway thing. Here we have another one. And yes, I have made it a bit easier on myself in this particular example, because I really mapped out how it looks. And I don't even want you to worry about evenness or technique here. All I want you to do is really follow the shapes you see. Okay, and if you do that, you should get a realistic impression. So this live stream is essentially me testing out that thesis, okay, and seeing if I can get you to be able to produce something realistic in black and white just by following this idea. Now, yes, there is the part of drawing, and that's a separate topic. I will address it also in the upcoming course. It's still a long way, a long time before we'll actually do the course, but before I'll actually get started on it, because there's a lot of prep work to do first. But just on a general note, there I will address the drawing thing. And I'm all for, if you just want to practice painting, again, do what you got to do, trace or use other methods of getting the drawing onto the paper. Doing it this way is actually easier because you can draw the shapes accurately. And I will show you in the future drawing process too, just because I wanted to be prepared for today and saw what happened. But I wanted to be prepared for today and have an easier time to go through all of the 3 demos. Otherwise, it would have taken us a long, long time. And here you can see some of that line. And we'll connect it to this beautiful shadow that it's going across. We're going to paint some of the highlights around some of the highlights here. Like this. They're very kind of loosely defined highlights. And as long as you recreate the shapes you see, which is again something I will do in a future live stream or video. I'll show you how to draw the shapes correctly. We'll do everything from start to finish. We'll take a photo, we'll interpret it into values, and then we'll draw it and paint it into values. Okay, I promise to show you all of this in a future video. But for now, just focus on looking at the shapes and just recreating them the way you see them, following the lines. Here there's the legs, and then we have a bunch of cast shadows by the figures. A really beautiful scene, and I'll definitely paint a larger version of it eventually. You can even see some of the creases in the dress. That's really, really cool. Don't know if it'll go through, even in the painting itself, but you can try at least. And that's pretty much what happens when you follow just the shapes you see. Okay, I'm going to add a few more touches, a few more small details, then I'll be with you in the chat and seeing if you even got to see any of what I just did. And if not, we'll have to, I don't know, maybe we'll do a live audio kind of thing where I just talk. And maybe you can ask me questions and I'll answer. If video is not a possibility today, we'll see. So here we go. The computer is continuing to charge, so I think it should be okay. Let's see here. And you see, you just follow the shapes you see there, and you should be good. Okay? And I think there's another window here. But I think that's pretty much it for this one. So I just wanted to show you, if you follow the shapes, you'll be good. Actually, I made a small mistake. This line goes like this. This window goes a little like that. Goes wider as it moves down. But that's really all you need. You can add a few more of the details if you see them. Like, for example, I do see this kind of a thing here. And here between the two arches or kind of details there. There is a separation between the shingles that if you want to get, you can. But that's pretty much it. Now let's see what you're writing in the chat, and then we'll move on to the next example. Say art. It's a dare. I said art. 5V. I love how I'm replying to the most irrelevant comment ever. Very helpful. Looking at the shapes makes sense. Yeah, okay. Good, good, good. Don't feel bad telling me if it's terrible and the quality is really bad. I don't know why. The stream is stuck, like, from what I see on my preview. I don't know if it means anything. Maybe that's just... Yeah, okay, that's just an issue with my YouTube. Cool. So, yeah. So, basically, again, just to reiterate real fast. You have the reference photo. It's super hard sometimes to tell what to paint, how to paint, and so on. So, what you want to do is edit it in a way that allows you to see the shapes clearly, which is this. Then you go ahead and draw all of these geometrical shapes, and here they are geometrical because it's a building, it's, you know, cityscape. You draw all of these geometrical shapes and you paint them. And you make it as easy as you can on yourself. Okay, so that's the first example. Now let's see some notes I have here that may help. Yeah, so I do believe that, let me turn it over to my face. I do believe that if you get the accurate shapes and the accurate values, what you get is realism, okay? Which is why I do want to break down the process into, yes, you want to get the right values, because I said initially the course is going to be about values. So you want to get the right values, but you also want to get the right shapes and right edges, okay? Which is something I'm going to talk about in the future. And one more thing I want to say. This version right here of the reference photo by Photoshop. It's basically Photoshop edited it. This is just a suggestion, okay? Don't take it as gospel. This is just a way the computer generated to organize the shapes. You could decide to include something or to remove something that you don't like, even if it shows here or doesn't show here, okay? So treat this as a suggestion. Now let's go over to the next example, okay? And I'm going to show you. Hopefully it'll be clearer. And again, sorry for the technical issues. I see them kind of popping back and on. And yeah, I'll try and keep my focus despite them. So here's the next picture. Okay, a beautiful picture from the first building we stayed at. We did Airbnb, and it was kind of a view outside a window. And I love that kind of a thing. So I took a picture of it. Now, look at all the details, like how do you even go about painting this? There's so much here, and yes, I get it. I get the struggle. It's really hard. So what you do is you put it in Photoshop, you do the image adjustment, posterize, and you get again 2 values. And here is what you'll get, okay? Now, again, this doesn't tell the full story, okay? But still, technically, by following the shapes you see here, you will be able to paint some kind of a realistic rendering of the scene. Okay, so the next one we're going to work on is this. And I want to show you how slowly the scene will be built up, and it will look good, okay? And it will look great, in fact, just by following the shapes we see. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to do my flipperoo magic. And it's here on the other side of the paper, the scene. And again, if you're confused, it will get clearer the longer we paint it, of course. But let me just organize and make sure you see everything and that you see the reference too. Let's do this. Planned my space for a portrait orientation. I think that's fine. That should work. Maybe I'll put the... I'm not sure I want to add the actual photo because it may slow it down, but let's do this. I'm going to add it. I'm going to edit and use this just on my end. So yeah, 1 second. Vids. Just finding the right pick. Good. So we'll open this one up. Make it a tiny bit smaller, set it here. And so, because my face is not showing, you can use this as the reference, just to know what I'm doing. And I'll get to work on this, okay? I'm using just a black color, kind of a neutral black, I believe. And here's where you really need to just look at the shapes and recreate them. I'm gonna go fast here, because I want to make it to the last demo, which is the most important, okay? Because I'm going to make another point there. So we're going to go for a bit of a darker black here. And I'm going to start left to right. Hopefully you will be able to see everything well. So we have the top part of the tree here. And again, you're just following the shapes you see, okay? There's not much to say here in terms of technique, and that's for the best, because that's what I want. That's the point I want you to be in. I want you to be able to go through a process where you end up getting a somewhat realistic result without relying on chance. And I don't think there's a lot of content out there, paid or free, that shows that. Like, how do you get the painting right almost every single time and get a realistic impression? It's not an easy task, okay? And hopefully you see everything well. After this, I'll go back to see some comments. If you have any questions, let me know now. I'll look at them in just a second on your chat messages. And you see this is a very dense kind of a bars or something here in the balcony, so it really is almost fully dark. And we'll kind of finish off this large shape here, painting around some highlights that I marked for myself. And again, you can find a link to all of the reference photos I'm using, including their edited version. Okay? See, I'm painting around that window that's in the dark of the trees, but it does show, okay? So you can find all the edited photos as well and redraw them in your own free time, or rewatch this maybe and practice this technique on your own. Like this, just give it a little more time. Just filling in every dark shape I see, okay? Like this. And if you do this accurately enough, you should get a realistic impression, even though it is a simplified one, okay? Yes, it is a simplified impression because obviously we simplified the values, but it still should be somewhat realistic. which is again what I'm aiming at. And this is just an experiment for now. I'm still not, like, I'm really at the beginning stages of building the course, okay? But I love this paint. Sometimes it's really fun working kind of monochromatically and seeing what you can achieve with this kind of a simplicity. So this was a big dark shape. Now we're finally getting to work on some smaller ones, okay? So we have this window here. And we'll paint around the lighter parts of the window pane. And then we'll ultimately close the shape off down here. And now we can kind of slow down and maybe work at an easier pace. Let's just get some of these details that I missed. Haven't gotten yet in. And the fun part is you can be creative at this stage and kind of just fill in these areas however you want. But you will get a nice little impression. I'll make these thinner because it's actually it's the lighter part we're seeing of the bars. And I'm going to connect it to the window. And again, the magic here is in shapes. If you can get the shapes to be accurate, you'll do a good job. And what I want to get to is a point where you know how to recreate the shapes you see on the more complex version of the reference photo. What we're doing now is kind of training wheels, okay? What I'll do in the course is probably we'll do a couple of these exercises so that you know, so that you can improve your way of recreating the shapes you see. Again, you see I'm looking at the shape here of that window. Right there, you can see it up top in the reference photo. And I'm trying to simply recreate it as a shape, not as an object. Again, look at this. What do you see here? You see objects, and I don't want you to see objects. I don't want you to see stuff. I want you to see shapes, okay? That's my goal for this. And that's why I'm putting so much emphasis on turning it into something that is more shape-based, okay? So we got those windows in, beautiful, beautiful work. Kind of has an abstract quality to it. But remember, this is just kind of training wheels, okay? Eventually, you should be able to do this with the original reference photo. That's what it's all about. If you can do this work with the original reference photo, you'll do well. That's what you learn with experience, and that's why the more experienced you are, the more you're able to get a clear impression for the viewer, actually presents an idea, you know, something that means something. Like, for example, look at this part of the window pane. That's because it's at an angle. It's dented outwards. But now, because we're right here, you see? But because we're only doing shapes, we don't have to think about why. We can just fill in this shape with dark, and we're good. And we'll get that idea across. Now, when you're looking at the original photo, you should understand that this is the shadow and this is the part you want to see. But here you don't need that. We take that away. And it's just a much simpler process. So if you do a couple of these, you get better at drawing the shapes as you see them in black and white. Then you can start taking it to the next level and learn how to better interpret the shapes yourself. Or even not interpret them, but paint them while you're looking at them. That's what experienced painters are able to do. Okay, see, we're drawing these lines literally negatively. We're drawing this balcony by drawing the large shadow, not balcony, but rather a part of the window that's beveled outwards. We're drawing it by drawing that dark shadow underneath it. Okay, there's this thick line here I didn't get earlier, but that's the great thing about these studies. It doesn't matter if everything flows together or not. It's not as important. Okay. So here we go. I'll put these in here like that. There's just kind of abstract shape. I have no idea what this is. You see, it's just a bunch of details to the side of the wall. You can take more time and paint them more accurately, less time, but because we see them in such a simplified manner, the whole thing becomes much easier. So you can make your decisions. Sorry, I went a little overboard there. That's not the shadow, but that's fine. You can make your own decisions on what you want to simplify and what you don't want to simplify. But it's hard making those decisions out of a place of knowing and experience when you're overwhelmed by the details in your reference photo, okay? And by the way, I'll just mention a note about the last demo or example we'll have. We'll do something with 3 values, okay? So you'll get to see the same concept works in how it works in 3 values, and I think you'll see something interesting there, because what you'll realize is the more values there are. Let me fix those terrible windows. I can do some wet and wet even though there's no need to. What you'll realize is the more values there are, the more realistic it looks, the more trouble you'll experience seeing the shapes accurately, because you start seeing stuff. Again, that's the problem. When you start seeing just the stuff and not the underlying shapes, okay? Here's a shadow. Here's another shadow connecting to this shadow. There's a bunch of shadows here. There's a shadow there. There are these very thin lines going down like this, okay? Going down like that. There's a bit of a line going here. Another shadow coming through here, like that. And finally, we have this kind of a window or whatever that is, like a smashed in window. And we just paint it by painting the shapes abstractly. And if I can get you to a point where you paint the shapes abstractly and then you surprise yourself at the result, then that's perfect. If you're like, whoa, that actually turned into something, that's where I want to be. And look at, I'm just adding a few details to the roof, I don't know, just to make it fun. We have a bit of a thing going on here, bit of a shadow. And the more of the nuances of the shapes you can capture, of course, the better the result's going to be, but it's not the goal here. I'm not worried if it's super accurate or not, okay? For now. The more you take your time slowly and get the shapes even more accurately, the more realistic it will look, obviously, okay? And I missed a bunch of lines and wires and stuff running across, and that's perfectly fine, okay? But this is the gist behind doing it this way. See this cracked wall? Just draw the lines and shapes as you see them. A bit more of the wall's texture is showing here, draw that. Okay, but it's all about the shapes. Really is all about the shapes. And this is pretty much done. This example is done. It doesn't look insanely beautiful, but it is like you get to feel that these are windows. You feel their shape. That's what I'm after here. Okay, let me see what you're saying in the chat. And wow, by the way, thank you so much for the super chats. Much appreciated. Thank you for the 96 viewers. Wow. Okay, let's get started here. I'm gonna skim over some of the chats from earlier, just to make sure I didn't miss anything important. Sophia says, finally here early. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Richard Bennett, good afternoon, friends. Nechi, still not good on my end. Sorry about that. Polly says, no worries. Thank you for that. Joanne Johnson, good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry, Liron. Nice to be here again. Let me switch over to my face. There we go. Good afternoon, Liron. Nice to be here again. It's been a while for me from the UK. Thank you so much, Joanne. Connor Randolph, still frozen. Sorry about that. Let's scroll a bit. Let's get past the technical issues. Kirsty says, don't stress. I'm here all night. It's nearly midnight here, not going anywhere. Thank you so much for that. You see my cup? May made me this cup. It's Schnoz themed. That's a character from Berserk. Let's see here. Polly says my laptop tends to have bad internet connection as well when I charge it while video chats. Yeah, that's weird, but it actually I can relate. Liron, you finally broke the internet. Christy says legendary. Thank you. Sushmita says you might have to restart the system. Mine does this as well. Yeah. Yep. James L. Baker, come on, Liron. We all understand these things happen. The internet gods are fickle a lot. It can happen to anyone. Thank you so much. Mexico says no worries. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mark says just got here. Looks like I haven't missed much more than a bad internet connection. Yes. Alessandro, my friend, is here. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you, Polly, for letting me know. Thank you, Sushmita. Yeah, okay, good. So let's scroll a bit. Dave says very helpful looking at shapes, makes sense. Thank you. Vespa for Jen. I don't have Photoshop on iPad Pro. How do I make a high contrast 2-value image for my reference photo? Yeah, so for iPad, you should have plenty of apps that do that. What I would do is you can even probably open the photo with your just normal photo viewing app, just photos, and then you can do edit and first turn it black and white. So that means drop the saturation all the way down. Then what you do is you increase the highlights to be lighter, and you you decrease the shadows and the mid values to be darker. That's essentially a high contrast. Now this won't get you this, it will get you something else that's kind of in the ballpark. And then if you can kind of trick yourself into seeing all the darks as black and all the lights as white, you will have a good time and an easier time at that. Let me show you the next reference just for fun. We're going to work on this, okay? I'm going to show you in just a second. What black are you using, or is it a mix? Yeah, it's just a neutral black. I believe it's by... so this one is Kohinoor. But for me, neutral black by White Nights work perfectly well. It's a very simple black. It usually is not single pigment, so it will have a bit of red, a bit of brown even, and a pigment black. I don't know why they dilute it. Don't be afraid of that. I'm actually okay with black paint not being single pigment. I find that it works well. I would honestly buy the cheapest black color you can, but go for a artist grade, so something like White Nights. Even Cotman's should work, even though it is student grade. Don't go with Cotman's, it won't be dark enough. But anything like that should work well. I love White Nights. Shinhan PWC, a lot of brands will work. Let's see here. Laura Merrifield, I will use black and white filter on my tablet. Interesting. Okay, yeah, that could work. So I'm not familiar with black and white filter, but that can definitely work. Thank you for the great tip. Christine Bourgeois, love it, very helpful. Thank you. Vesper Jen, thank you. Laura, Art by Lisa, very true that there are no lines in life. I think that's the first aha moment I had as a young artist. Yeah, if you can just get yourself to see the shapes, you're good to go. And the trick is, it's not easy, because when you look at this, you don't see the shapes. When you look at this, you don't see the shapes. I mean, if you're experienced, you do. But once you turn it into that, it's much easier to see the shapes. This is, by the way, not what we're going to paint. We're going to paint it in three values. I'll show you in just a second. But yeah, that's a great insight to learn as early on as you can. And a lot of the critique videos that we did, a lot of the issues people have was just with painting the lines. And instead of painting the lines, focus on the shapes. You'll get it realistically every single time. The trick is, how do you get your skills to be able to do that with a complex reference photo? You start easy, something like this, or like that. That's how you get your brain to learn how to do that. Jose says, a very practical and easy way to see the shapes. Thank you so much. Meisuko gives a super chat for €5. Thank you so much. Your videos are very helpful. Thank you. Much appreciated. This is my first super chat. I got a super sticker from Olga last time. Now it's a super chat. Thank you so much. Tarcisio Domante, hi Liron, welcome back. Thank you. Henny Shay, have you ever stopped painting for a long period of time, and how did you get back into the routine of painting regularly, if so? It definitely happened before. It sucks to go back. It feels bad. You're not as good as you remembered you were, and you're rusty. It's just the way it works. Just how life is. Just power through these first 3 to 5 painting sessions and you'll be back on track in no time. I actually experienced it with anatomy drawing recently and drawing people. I haven't done it for 2 or 3 weeks because I was on vacation, didn't have time. With watercolor, I find that I don't get as rusty anymore, even though a bit maybe, but with drawing it did happen. It was just tough. The first few sessions, I could barely draw the cubes I usually draw three-dimensionally from imagination. I would get the proportions wrong. It would either be too elongated, too squeezed, whatever. And that was really annoying. But you power through these first few sessions. The only goal is like a checkbox. I did it. And that's it. Spend 30 minutes, an hour drawing, and just hit that checkbox. I did it. That's it. Okay? That's the goal. If you haven't practiced for a while, the goal is to practice, not to get results. I hope that helps. Feel free to send me an email, Henny. Maybe I can give you more specific advice if you're at that point right now. Dave, Liron, do you find the more you improve, it's hard to do a not realistic painting? Oh, interesting. I wouldn't say so. So Dave, you're asking basically if the better you get, is it harder to do something that is not realistic or less detached from realism? I think it's thanks to the nature of watercolor that I don't experience this, because watercolor invites you to kind of go crazy with the colors and everything and play around with the flow. So even after focusing and improving and just working on strict realism, I'll usually have a desire to just fill in the page with a bunch of colors and splash them around and move them around, or go for a scene that I do highly impressionistically. So I'll even put the reference photo really far away and try and paint it kind of from afar where I can barely see the details so that I can get the essence in, but it's still going to be not realistic. It's still going to be highly abstracted. So I would say for me personally, no, that doesn't happen. It's something about the medium that brings it out in me. But I can definitely imagine a situation, maybe even with other mediums, where it does happen, and that can probably be a little concerning for many people. But I haven't had to deal with that so far, luckily. Watercolor by Shilpi. Hello, Liron. Hey, thank you for being here. Laura, Dave, great question. Vespa for Jen. Liron, what brush with great sharp tip are you using? I'm using Escoda. These are all Escodas so far, these two. It's a Barocco and a Perla. Sizes 16 and I believe 8. Oopsie doopsie. That's my white shirt. Hopefully it will. I will be able to remove this in the laundry. Maybe I should give it a wash. But in any case, yeah, these are the two brushes I use for now. And I will say this: the tip is good, but it's not perfect. I had even higher expectations of Escoda, but you see that little kind of snip? It goes to the side. Same happened on this brush, a bit less felt, but still. And true for this one too, even though I'm just using it for not for its purpose. I'm going super thin with it, way too much. But for this, yeah, I would hope that the tip wouldn't have this curl at the edge. I don't know why that happened. Maybe it's my fault. Probably it is my fault. But yeah, these are Escodas. Henny says, top 3 things you've learned being a watercolorist. I learned about myself that if it's challenging, I'll try it. It'll sometimes give me more motivation to let go and find that balance between letting go and having some control. To me personally, on a personal level, I love to be in control. I don't like being not in control. I don't like roller coasters. I'm scared of them. I think I only enjoyed one somehow. It even had a loop in it. I usually don't like these at all. I did skydiving once, and today only the thought terrifies me. But watercolor does teach you to kind of wait. Like that. There was this saying in finances. You know how they say, don't just stand there, do something, and then you reverse it for finances. Don't just do something, stand there, which means don't panic sell. If you have something you're invested in, it goes down, don't sell at a loss, but wait for it to recover. So it's kind of the same. You see the disaster happening on paper, and you're like, no. I'm gonna wait a second. Let me see where this goes, what happens here, and I think that's the best way to handle watercolor. So that's another important thing I definitely learned. I also learned even more so how underappreciated watercolor are when compared to other mediums. They're viewed by many people as this kind of a sketchy medium that's just meant for preparatory work, not necessarily finalized work. But the more I paint, the more I understand that's not true. And the more I see other people who also agree that it's not the case. It's actually a full medium in and of itself, in its own right. You can do beautiful finalized work with it. Highly realistic. It's just different. It just has very specific properties to it. So these could be some things I learned. Don't know if it's the top 3. Shaspin gives a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. You didn't write a message, but feel free to, of course, write one. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I enabled super chats and all of that automatically just because it was finally available. I actually wanted it so that I can use it for live streams I'm watching, because so far I couldn't use it. But thank you so much. I wasn't expecting people to use them. I really do appreciate it. And when I choose the not monetize the stream, I was sure it's not gonna even give you the chance to give super chats. I said it the last time, but it turned out I discovered it does. It's just for ads after the fact. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oliferous, hey buddy, sorry I just got here, but it looks great, my friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, you didn't miss too much. Kanchan and Diran, message retracted, sorry. Send it again. Nechi, oh no, did it start already? I hope you didn't miss out too much because, again, tons of technical issues. Grayvan123, rip Kentaro Miura. Indeed, so sad that he passed away. The creator of Berserk, the best, I'm just going to say the best manga on the planet. My favorite for sure. Hopefully it will continue. Berserk, that is. Who knows? If the assistants can take over and continue it, that'll be really nice. Manech, hi Liron, nice to see you. Thank you so much. Kanchan, tried your light and shadow one, made so much of a difference to my work. Wow, that's amazing. Happy to hear. Yeah, that's the goal here with these. It's to isolate the problem. And the problem is, how do I get the shape accurately? Here it is. The problem's isolated. You get it accurately by simplifying. Oliferous, Ibis Paint X Sketch Desk and are both great free art apps that you can make high contrast versions of pics. Cool, so check them out. Anyone who's wondering how to do that without Photoshop. What brush are you using? Answered that. Art by Lisa, very true. Seeing the shapes is the hard part. Yes. Was the second painting drawing traced? Yeah. I actually traced all three. I had to prepare real fast for this live stream. I traced all three of them. So you can do that too. I allow it. I traced this one. It's very clear, by the way, that it was traced because you can see the lines are just one go. And trace this one as well. And I'm going to trace the next one was traced too. I just wanted to save time. But I don't trace. I don't know if I'll say probably yeah. Most of my work I don't trace. Even the hard part, like the more rounded objects and things that are more organic, I don't trace. But usually for demos I will, just because it's faster. And I do want it to be top-notch accurate, so it's just a much better thing. Most, like if you go to the gallery where I show the paintings for sale, I think none of them have been traced. When I actually paint a piece that I want to really be something significant, I don't trace. But I'm not against it. Like, if you want to do it, do it. So yeah. Pence Palacio, my friend, thank you for being here. Aparna, you're really cool. Thank you so much. Dave says, I remember my first ever cityscape and felt overwhelmed, but I realized they're just squares and shapes. Yeah, that's so true. Squares and shapes in perspective, that's it. It was a very complex painting of Liverpool. By the way, I find that when I do plein air, you can get away with being less skilled at drawing. I don't know why, because you're there. So it may be counterintuitive because some people think it's harder to draw from real life, and I agree with that to some extent. When you have a photo, it's just already flat, so you're drawing something flat. But you can get away with not understanding as much of what you're drawing. Just because you're seeing it in front of you, it's much easier to draw it as you see it. And so you can get away with knowing less perspective. And sometimes I'll find counterintuitively that if I paint outside, if I just draw it as I see it, I'll get a better result than if I try and follow the perspective. Meaning, if I start drawing the perspective grid and start putting in the lines, I get something that is too stale. And when you work outside, you don't want that. You want these things to look more organic. So for some reason, for me working on it in the dumber way, which I love, by the way, I started drawing like this, and I do that occasionally, is actually more productive doing plein air. So if you're having a hard time drawing accurately from photos, try plein air. The photo is so edited that every small mistake you make is just doom. But outside it's more organic, it's more alive, it's more refreshing, it's just a much better experience in my opinion, and you can get away with less accurate drawings. Laura, for all the older artists here, I discovered a great tip this week to blur details on my reference photo by just removing my glasses. That's a good one. That's funny. Silver brush, black limited is a brush with a good. I'm not familiar with that. Or silver black velvet. Yeah, I love silver black velvet. Maybe you should share how you clean your brushes, if you do. Yeah, I just dab them in the water bucket and dry them on the towel. I don't use a soap or anything like that. Okay, just found your channel a few days back. Nishat says, you are a great teacher. Love your work and the way you explain. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you being here in the live stream. Thank you so much, Nishat. Omileti. Yes, I was able to make it live. Thank you, and you haven't missed too much. Comio, could you recommend brushes for beginners? Silver Black Velvet. Great cheap option. Netchi just recommended them. I highly recommend checking them out. On Amazon you can get them, or on many art stores, online usually. In my local stores I don't have them, for example. Eli or Ellie, thinking my first comment didn't go through. Saying hi from Youngstown. Oh, well, hello. And thank you for joining in the chat. I didn't see the previous comment. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Omileti says, just bought your watercolor course. Can't wait. I really like your teaching style, especially that you taught yourself. Thank you so much, Omileti. Much love goes to you. I really appreciate it. That's how I keep the lights on. So it really is. That's how Ruth gets her food. I won't turn the camera because I'm afraid to mess something up now that everything works, but she's here on the couch. And yeah, that's how we buy her food. Did you know that, Ruth? She's sleeping. She's fast asleep. But yeah, and I just want to say on that note, I did have a couple of technical issues with my the platform on which my courses are and with PayPal. So if you're having issues, if you purchased a course from me and you don't get an email or something doesn't work, just shoot me an email. You can leave a comment here too, but I'm guaranteed to see an email if you just send it to liron@lironyan.com or whichever email you see on the website you made the purchase, and I will get to you. My apologies. I'm working on fixing a lot of mistakes in my sales funnels and the website where I sell the courses. The frustration-free one should work seamlessly now. Okay, it should have no issues whether you buy it with credit card, PayPal. It all works well. If you buy the drawing courses, there is still an issue with PayPal. I'm working on it. Right now I'm manually doing something to fix it, but I'm working on fixing it so that I don't have to do that. But my apologies again, if an email wasn't sent, you didn't get it, don't worry, I didn't run off with your money. Just send me an email, I'll get it fixed. And by the way, I have like a 30-day money-back guarantee. I stretch it for more. I had this person sending me an email like after a year and a half buying the course. He never logged in, never used it. It just asked for a refund. And I'm like, yeah, sure. If you feel like you didn't get the value you wanted, or you couldn't use it, or whatever, just send me an email at any time. I just offer a refund. I know that I don't like holding people's money if they don't, if they didn't get whatever they wanted. Oliferous, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. I just figured this super chat thingy out. I wish I had more, but once I'm employed again, I'll support as much as possible, brother. Yeah, just take care of yourself first. I mean, I seriously mean it. It's been a rough year. 2 years maybe for many people. So don't spend $1 if you can't, like, seriously. But I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. Omelette, Vesper for Jen, don't use this size too much. Oh yeah, about the size. I saw that message. And my mom raves about it. Interesting. What is this super chat thingy? I use size 8. Oh, brush, versatile. Yeah, I love those brushes. Polly, do you use silver black velvet for both washes and details? If you're asking me, or maybe you're asking Netchi, I use pretty much the same brush for everything. I just use a larger one and then a smaller one. That's how I usually do it. I've enjoyed your videos, always learned so much, says Gloria Clark. Thank you so much for the super chat, much appreciated. I'm so happy to hear you enjoy the videos. I hopefully will continue making them as long as I'm alive. So thank you so much. Oliferous, reply to Mileti, what platform do you have for your courses? It's actually my own platform. I'm using ClickFunnels. I see that, but how do you get to it? It's ClickFunnels. It's a combination. So basically, it's ClickFunnels with my own website, my own domain. ClickFunnels does all the work for me, so it's much easier. The problem is in the integration. So I've been using an older integration of PayPal, and I didn't know they updated the way it works. So what happened was they updated it. Mine was out of cycle, so I had to upgrade it. It's just a bit of work to implement the change. That's why. But ClickFunnels is a great platform for courses. It does everything, like the membership area where you view the course. You don't have to worry about any of that. You don't have to build a website on your own. It's all you designed the landing pages. It works really well from one step to another. But most people don't care about that. If you're an artist too and you want to create a course, or not an artist, you have a different profession, you want to create a course, feel free to reach out. Send me an email. I can tell you a bit about how I set it up to work, because it's, I think, one of the best ways to set it up. My coffee is really tasty, by the way. Turned out really well. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. Good. So I think we can move on to the next reference photo. So let me show you, because this is going to be fun. See this? Again, you have to be experienced to know how to, let's put it here, to know how to tackle this kind of a thing. There's a lot going on here in terms of drawing accurately, knowing what to draw. That's a question I get a lot. What details do I even include? And a lot of people have issues with it. Let me flip over to the desk view here. Get rid of this image. So here, we can get rid of this one too for now. So yeah, a lot of people have that question of how do I even know what details to include? And yes, it is an issue. So we simplified, and let me show you. What you saw earlier was a 2-value simplification, meaning black and white, but I'm going to show you something a little more complex. Now I'm going to show you 3 values. So that's black, white, and a mid-value. Now I want you to see something interesting here. If I can put all of these together on screen like that, the more values there are, the clearer the image becomes, but the harder it is to express it in painting. Meaning, this has the most values, all of the colors still maintained, and it has, you can see pretty much everything, which makes it very clear to see what you're looking at, but very hard to paint. This has 3 values. Much easier to draw and paint because you see less of the details and no colors. But here's the tricky thing. You still see this a bit more accurately, so you're still prone to making mistakes. This is, quote-unquote, the best kind of way to do it because you just see the shapes. Okay, but we're not going to do this. We're going to do this version now. I want to show you how to do the same thing in 3 values, and here it's going to be it's going to be cooler, I think, and you'll see why. Because what I'm going to do is work in sections, and it will still work out beautifully. Okay, so let me just show you my face as I tape this down to the board. We'll get rid of the unnecessary reference photos, and I really think you'll enjoy this one because, again, let's remove the tape together. I know you like seeing it, so let's remove this tape here. Let's remove both. We'll start with this one. It doesn't have too much of an impact here because we didn't really paint all the way to the sides except for the left side. So here we go. Left side. And here it is. Not too big of an impact. Again, we barely got to the sides here. That's fine and dandy. Now let's remove the other one right here. Maybe the right side will have a bit of a cool effect by removing the tape. There we go. There we go. Got a bit of a natural frame, but didn't make that big of a difference. And now we can tape that last painting right here. You see? And you can tell immediately I traced that. There aren't any guidelines or anything, okay? Because I wanted to really see the shapes clearly without any guidelines. So we'll set this aside. I'm going to open up the reference photo for this one. And so image. And discard this, discard that. I'll browse. I'll find a reference photo. This is probably my favorite example here among the bunch. Let's make it a little smaller, set it to the side. Now I'm sorry that you can't see my face as I paint. I just don't want to take any risks that it'll slow down because it's more things for the live stream to process. Here's the reference photo. Let's tape it. As soon as I find the tape here. Okay, here we go. Show you my face. I think it's more interesting than me taping the piece of paper. I feel like we've had a streak of challenging live streams here. And hopefully the next one won't be as challenging. One can hope that all technical difficulties will not occur. Murphy will, I don't know, be sleeping at the time of the live stream. But yeah, let me see what you're saying in the chat as I tape this. It's worth it to invest in professional grade watercolor paint. Thanks. Conmio says. I think it is, but if you're just getting started, if you've been doing this for, let's say, under, I'm just throwing an arbitrary number, but under 3 months or even 6 months, I wouldn't be in a hurry. You can do quite a bit with lower grade paints if you're practicing. But yeah. Omeletti says, ClickFunnels is good, but it's very costly. If you're ever interested in a good solution which will let you keep your money, I can refer you to another solution in WordPress. Yeah, so here's the thing. ClickFunnels is pricier, but for the value I get for it, it's a no-brainer for me. Because all of my... So here's the thing. I didn't just create a course. Let me show you the table in this sketch. I didn't just create a course, but I also created a funnel. And a funnel is a very complex beast. It has the landing page and the page where I get your email address. And it has A/B testing for every stage of the way and advanced analytics. And it's integrated with all of the other solutions and PayPal and Stripe. And all of these things that work together, to me, makes ClickFunnels a no-brainer. There are some simple solutions, but ClickFunnels is the one that's kind of like, does it for me, like literally does all the work for me. So I'd stick with it for sure for now. It's a small expense to pay because it does pay itself back by course sales. Okay, so I got this thing stuck here. There we go. Because it does pay itself back with the course sales. So here's what we're gonna do. Let me make this a little smaller. Okay, so we'll get this demo. Yeah, Omeletti, no worries. I'm cool with that. I'm always up for suggestions and improvements. I just did so much research on it. Feel free to send it to me via email. I'll take a look. I don't mind the WordPress solution, but I'm so beyond that. Like, ClickFunnels does everything for me, and it's worth it. The pricing is $97 for anyone who's wondering, a month, and it's totally worth it for me. But here we go. Last demo, and here's what's so cool about this one, okay? In this demo, we're going to work in parts. We're going to work a bit here and a bit there, and on every different section, we're going to work individually, and that removes a lot of the pressure. A lot of the pressure of having to worry about connecting large washes and making things flow together. We don't need to worry about any of that. I'm not even going to go light to dark. I'm just going to paint it whatever I feel like at the moment. So let's start with this big shape here. And you can see it. Okay, I'm going to hold this one next to me so that I can use that as my reference. It's just this big fat cross or kind of a weird shape. Again, these are abstract shapes. And if you follow them properly, you should, in theory, get a somewhat realistic result. Okay? It's that simple. It really is. Now, thank you for all of the comments, chat messages. I will look at everything, okay, as soon as I'm done with this process, so that we'll have something else to look at, and we'll talk while I kind of have it in the background, okay? So just let's get through this demo, and I promise I'll get to as many chat messages as I can, if not all of them. We'll see. All the relevant ones. So here we go. That's one shape. Just one shape. Do you recognize another prominent dark shape? Let's go for this one. Okay, like this, like that. I don't care about order here. What I'm practicing is my ability to see the shape and draw it as accurately as I can. And by the way, if you want to do this exercise, like even in a more challenging way, do it without drawing. Just paint as you see it. Try and see if you can maybe build from this shape outwards, okay? It is a great exercise that as I showed you the exercise of painting portraits without any guidelines in 2 values, that's another iteration of it. So I highly recommend you give it a try. That's the real skill, because this is, I have to take a break and explain, okay? This is really important. when I'm working from this kind of a reference photo, I'm doing this action in my brain. I'm imagining it in my brain. What you want to do is learn how to do that. And if you see this and you can imagine this big plus shape or cross shape as this, you'll have a much easier time of painting it. And one way of practicing it is not even drawing it, not having a prep drawing, but rather to draw it as you see it just from observation. Because that's kind of what you do when you're interpreting live from your brain, okay? So that's a very, very important thing to have in mind as we move forward, and I promise you this course is going to be incredible, which is why it takes so long for me to build up towards doing it and publishing it, because it's going to be really top-notch and I want to make sure it's perfect, so there's a lot of work to do. But once it'll be out, I don't know, maybe a year, hopefully less, I'll see, maybe I can increase the pace on it. The more the ideas get clearer, maybe I'll see that it can take less time, but I want it to be perfect, okay? And yeah, and it'll probably be priced just like the frustration-free watercolor course, same kind of range, unless it's much longer, then maybe I'll increase the price, but like the $29 range is what I'm looking at. And have in mind, this course will show you how to paint realistically in black and white. Whatever it is you want, you'll be able to paint realistically in black and white. Look at what I'm doing here. Anyone can do this. I'm just looking at the shapes and I'm filling them in with the right value. And we have two options here, either black or a mid to dark value. That's all we have here. The mid value here is quite has quite a strong impact. See, that's all I'm doing. Not doing anything fancy. And I did want to do this live stream, started on time and all of that, to make sure that I actually make it through everything and am able to get everything painted. Look at how randomly I'm working. Oh, there's a window here, let's paint that. I didn't even put in most of the details for the window inside it, okay? But trust me, it's gonna look good at the end, okay? It's gonna look really realistic. Let's go for a bit of a clearer, larger shape here, okay? This window. And you can switch to a smaller brush at this stage. I'm kind of doing it with this one because I enjoy it. And it does have a decent tip, not a perfect one, but a decent one. And let's get this one in. And for fun, let's switch over to the lighter value, okay? Let's do it now. So, I'm gonna do, which wall should I do or which object? Let's just mix a bit of a lighter value and see what we can do with it, okay? And I have some test paper here. I should have it somewhere here. There we go. So that we can see the value we get. So that's kind of in the ballpark of what we want, but actually more. Let's mix more of it. So that's close, a bit more water. And I think that's the right mid value, okay? It's the correct one. So let's see what we get, okay? Just gonna give it a try. I think it's too dark still. Maybe a bit. I'll dilute it just a bit more. And we're ready to go. Sorry for all the splashes of paint here. So let's do this wall here. Let's just paint that wall. Right here. And I know it looks dark. The more you open up the paint, you see it's lighter. But let's mix a bit more water. It may actually be too dark. And I'm just gonna paint this side of the wall. Now it's tricky. Is it still too dark? I don't know. Let's see. Because you see how light it gets? It's still too dark. Still too dark. Let's do this. So I added a bit of water. It's just a very strong color, so it's naturally very dark. You need a lot of water to kind of counter that. Let's see if it's going to work out. You see, it's still too dark. I was really under an illusion there for a moment. Let's lighten it up a bit. I don't know why it looked so dark to me initially. But in any case, here we go. That's a little closer, maybe too light, but we'll see about that. And I'm just following the shape I see here, okay? I can even paint around the other dark spots if I want to. And this kind of connects to this shape here. And this is all in the shadow too, by the way. And it connects to this shape here. See, I'm just following the shape I see. It's a large and complex shape, but it's still a shape. And if I paint it as I see it, it's going to work out well. The trick is learning how to see it accurately. And we're doing it here by using this kind of a training wheels of simplifying the scene itself. Okay? So you see me kind of working around the darker shapes, because I just randomly decided, let's paint this wall now. I can paint over the dark shapes too, by the way, because they're going to be darker anyway, but I'm going to do it this way because then I can see where they are a little easier. Okay? I see that this is a dark shape. Connected to here, tons of this kind of mid-value shape here, but notice how it kind of has this pattern to it. It doesn't go all the way down. Like this. This is lighter, but this ledge is darker. This is darker. This is darker. This here around that architectural detail is darker, but still quite light again. And we're going to pull this down all the way to this area where we can just stop in just a moment, okay? And you'll be amazed at how realistic this can get. Again, if you just get these 3 values in the right places, and one of them being the paper white, so you don't have to do anything about it, really. Just have to kind of leave it there. This is kind of a mid-value, 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 mid-value. And guess what? We're pretty much done with this shape. There's a bit more here, but I'll stop here. Let's put in some darker shapes. Again, random order. Here we go. We have this window here. And because it took us some time, I don't even have to worry about the paint not drying, because it is dry now. It did dry, most of it. If we have a bit of a leak, it's not a big problem. And here we go. So you see, this scene is a little longer. So I wanted to make sure we have enough time for it. Around 6 o'clock, I may get a phone call. Maybe I'll have to attend to it. We'll see. So this tree here, get those shadows in. Coming around here, there is a bit of a shadow there. Let's put it in while we're at it. Smaller lines here. See how this works? I'm just putting in the shapes of either black or gray, medium kind of value. And yes, this should be a medium value. We'll get to that in just a few moments. There's this kind of an arch around this window or whatever. There's a bit of a dark shape here. Not sure what it is. It's just kind of a weird shape on the wall that's making it darker. But let's pick up the pace with this shape and do it very abstractly here. See? Like that. Again, the more time you'll put into this, the more realistic it can get. But it's actually going to get quite realistic enough for our own needs here. Okay? Now, one more thing to have in mind. You can do this in the normal watercolor approach. I'm just going to finish the shadow and then I'll explain this in detail. Because I want you to really understand what it is that we're doing here. What it is that we're practicing here. Okay? Let's connect it to this sidewalk. Like that. Okay, let me show you my face for a second. What are we doing here? We're not practicing simply painting, because if we were, here's what you can do. Cover everything up but the highlights, as we always do. Cover everything up with the mid-value, except for the highlights, and then do another layer of the darkest parts. But no, that's not what we're practicing here, are we? We're practicing recreating the shapes in a believable and accurate way. That's all we're doing. Which is why I'm working on it at a seemingly random order, because I want to practice that technique. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the chat if it makes sense. Maybe we'll do a break for a second and look at some of your messages, make sure that we're on the same wavelength. So let's see what you're saying here in the chat. Real quick, and then we'll continue. I'll do a bit of a kind of teaser for you till you can see me continuing this one. But we will get it done. It shouldn't take much longer. Let's see here. Nechi. Hey, by the way, Liron, I tried your tip on the shadow and the glows. I recently posted it. One second. I recently posted it on Instagram and a lot had commented on it. Cool. So it worked for you. That's awesome. Kragothra, where can I see your courses? So if you go to my channel, you should have links there, and also in the description box of this video, you'll see the painting and drawing courses. The first thing you see in the description is the courses. Just go to the description box of this live stream or any video. Laura Merrifield, treated myself to a set of Escoda brushes, waiting for them to arrive. Awesome, awesome, you'll love them. Roland says hello from Ukraine. Omeleti, we read that about ClickFunnels. Professional grade. Bunny L, do you know about the Notanizer app? Notanizer. Oh, like Noten? You can get different levels of the image and upload them. What do you think about that? That's great. It sounds like exactly what we need here. Great suggestion. Check it out, everyone. Anayansi, greetings from Houston, Liron. This video will help lots with loosening up my watercolor. Thank you. Nigel asks, how do you trace with watercolor paper? So here's my kind of magical way of tracing. What I do is I actually shut the blinds in the room, turn off the lights, put the photo on my computer screen, put the paper on it, and use it as a light box. I'll just put it on there, turn the lightness all the way to the end, most well lit, and I'll just trace over. I'm looking at my computer, I'll put this here, and I'll trace through it using the light. That's how I do it. You can put it on the window, and thank you so much. Someone made a purchase for my course 27 minutes ago. Thank you so much. If it's someone from the live stream, maybe it's a message I read. I don't remember if I read a message that says I just bought it, but thank you so much. I'm not saying the name because I don't know if your username here is anonymous, but just saying thank you so much. Another method, I know people use charcoal paper, I believe. But I don't know how to use that. That's a bit of an older method of tracing. But that's how I do it. Either a light box or something like that. Another way is grid. If you're using the grid method, you put a grid on your reference photo and a grid on your paper. You draw the grid. It's a little more redundant and takes longer. It's more, what's the word? I keep forgetting this word, but you get my point. But it does work. And then you can follow the proportions because you see that this line of the building crosses this square down the middle or down a quarter or whatever. So essentially the grid helps you find your way around the painting. So that's another way. Yeah. Let's see what else you're asking. Conmel says thank you. Lilibay, use a light box. Yeah, that's a great idea too. I'm still using my Escoda brush, Omileti. Scars 1951. Hello, Mr. Jankowski, sir. How are you this fine day? Since you're in watercolor paint up to your wrist, you're probably happy as a hog. Yeah, definitely. A hog and a slop. I think a slop is like where they hang out, I guess. Vespa, I'm so excited to try this shape technique. Thank you, Liron. You're an incredible instructor. Thank you so much. And Meisuka also says, I'm intrigued with this black-white painting method. Yeah, so this is actually pretty huge. It really is, and I cannot stress this enough. What I want to give you is a blueprint for painting realistically, that you just follow and you get the realistic result you want. Now, it doesn't mean it's easy, but it is a process that you can follow. Okay, and you can see it here. It's kind of like, you know, filling in like the coloring books, but we're going to take it one step further. It's not just going to be a coloring book. I'll show you how to take the picture, edit it in a way that makes it easier again, draw it based on that, draw the shapes accurately. And we're going to have exercises for drawing shapes accurately, for drawing complex edges on shapes accurately. That's a big thing I have in mind. So that how can you do a square and then blend just one edge? Kind of like I'm showing you here on the YouTube videos, but oriented at recreating it accurately, not just the technique of blending an edge, okay? It's going to be like a really step-by-step method to get everything down realistically in black and white. Okay, no color for now, but we will do that hopefully in a future course. But I really want this to be like a blueprint you can follow. The frustration-free watercolor course is a blueprint to follow, to let go, to make sure you take yourself outside your head and you actually enjoy the painting process and you learn the basic techniques to get the results you want. Now, if you want to take it to the next level and go realistic, that's what I'll try and tackle here. So if you're having trouble with getting the accurate values, with the accurate shapes, with knowing what details to include, what details to remove, even after the How to Simplify course that's completely free, by the way, check it out if you haven't, all of these things are going to be solved using this course. So yeah, it's pretty significant. So yeah. Nechi, what is the difference when I paint with mid-value first, then paint the shadows or darkest value next? I did this on a boat, there isn't a real difference. The only thing, are we still going live? I don't know what, like I have an issue, like a weird issue. Let's see here. I don't know what goes on with YouTube. YouTube is really going crazy here. But yeah. There isn't a difference. I will tell you what the difference is, because there's only one difference. The one difference is you have to remember that if you're glazing on top of an existing layer, you're already glazing on top of a darker layer. So let me show you. Right now, what I'm doing is painting a black shape here, a gray shape there. Black shape here, a gray shape there. What happened if I covered everything in gray and painted the black over it? I could use a lighter value and still get the same darkness because it's glazed on top of an already slightly darker layer. Okay? I hope that makes sense. That's I think, the key difference there. And I want to continue with the process, and then I'll address the rest of the questions. I want to get this one done. But that's the main difference between them. There isn't necessarily a difference in the end result. The difference is how you treat the process, and you need to be aware of a few other things depending on the process you're using. You'll have to be aware of different things. Okay, that sums it up. So I'll make this one wider because I made this one too wide, and we will continue. So we have this window here, and notice how this window is actually composed of very dark shadows and shapes, and then the mid value. So I'm gonna get that. So these are the dark shapes. Now let's put some of the dark lines here too. Okay, enough being lazy. Let's use a smaller brush to get these in, because now I really need the smaller details in. Let's see if I can get them with this brush. If not, I'll use an even smaller one. Okay, that's okay. You see there are some details that barely show, but they do show, so you can, feel free to put them in if you want to. And let's get that mid value here. Let's stay with this small brush for now and get that mid value here to the right that I didn't get earlier. Almost all of this right side should be covered in a mid value. This is all in the shadow, okay? I'm going to leave just a bit of a highlight here and there based on what I see. Something like that. And look at how well this reads just by putting in these two values. Okay? That's the whole point of this exercise. Here we have just a bit of a highlight, but the rest is pretty much covered up. All the way down to the floor. Now we have this doorway that's fairly dark, or this garage door, whatever that is. It's just black, so I'm going to fill it in. My shapes are a little sloppy, but even better, because it's going to show you, even if you don't get the shapes fully accurately, it's still going to look good. Now, some may find this approach boring. I get that. If that's you, first of all, sorry. And second, again, look at it as training wheels. You're practicing recreating the shapes. And to be honest with you, if I would just paint this for myself right now, I'd work so much slower. I'd go like this, at this space maybe, to make sure all the lines are in the right spot, the exact right spot. The thing is, when I'm filming, I don't want the videos to be super boring or, last too long. So I'm trying to find that happy balance again. But I do plan on doing like a silent stream where I just paint and I'll work at my own pace, and I won't do anything entertaining. I'll just work. And if you're curious to see that, it'll give you kind of a view into what just painting looks like to me. So that, yeah, I'm not trying to entertain, I'm not trying to even teach, I'm just kind of painting, and you can see my work, and it'll be like a 3-hour live stream where I don't say a word, I just paint and draw. That could be a very interesting idea for some. I will totally get it if you're not into that, because that means basically I'll just be quiet. But if that's something that interests you, let me know. I'll probably do it regardless. Now let's connect this shadow to some of the windows here, using my pinky just to get some more balance, just to get some of these shapes in, a little abstractly. Yep, some of these shapes in as well. Some of these windows in. Don't need much detail there. This balcony or whatever that is, and the shadow underneath it. All of these kind of shadows there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this shape. There is a bit of a dividing line between the two sides of the building. Now let's do some of the mid values there. So we have a bit of it here. And and a bit of it, where was it? A bit of it here. This here at the window. Let's get that in. See how much richness it gives the window. We barely have any details and it just looks so cool. And of course I need the darker value that I forgot to put in here. See? And there is a bit of kind of a darkness hinted at down at the bottom. That's fine. Let's continue a bit with the lighter value here. Okay, so we have this shape here. Again, sorry if it's super slow for you, and feel free to bail out if you're not enjoying it as much. But this is really what it's all about. You just want to practice putting in those shapes in the right places. Okay. When I'll do a live stream that's kind of silent, I'll probably feel better about not talking, because it's not the official live stream, so to speak. Now look at this big shape here. Let's get this one in kind of in one go. Fill in all of this, and look at how much depth hopefully it will give to the building. Okay, so look at this. I'll put this here. I'm going over some of the black areas. They're dark enough so that it won't reawaken them too badly. Okay, but don't scrub them at any cost. Avoid that. Okay, just go one light layer and cover it up. Even if you're touching some areas, you'll be fine. Just don't overwork it. Just put it in one go and move on. So you do see this balcony, and here we have an opportunity to put in a few details for the windows, quite abstractly, and this line here, and cover all of this wall with a darker wash here. And look at how it just gives it some more depth. And let me spray this a bit to lighten it up, put some more water in there. Maybe it's too dark, I don't know, but that's fine anyway. It's not the end of the world. The stairs to the left are actually quite dark, so let's get them dark. We have the sky. I think it may be too dark. Let's put some water in there. Bit of a risky move, but if you're experienced, you should be able to get this one done. Put a little water there. Now let's get the sky. Can you see the sky is a little darker, which contrasts beautifully with some of the buildings. So let's do that. We need a lot of paint here. And mix a lot of paint. And I'm going to bring this painting all the way till the end. And then we'll answer some more messages and wrap up this stream. But I do want to pull it all the way till the end of the process. And I'm going to follow what I see. Even though it doesn't make sense that the sky will change value like that, that's, again, remember, that's Photoshop's suggestion. That's one interpretation of it. You don't have to follow it. You can decide to edit some parts of it, and that's what I'll often do. I'll kind of use this as an initial tool to figure out the large shapes, but then I won't feel bound to them. I'll change things around if I see fit. Okay, that's an important thing to have in mind. Let's go over here. See, I'm gonna leave this kind of a negative shape here, and I'll blend in this value change because the sky shouldn't be, that high contrast. So, and can you start and see the realism? Do you actually see it now? Is it starting to work for you? Because I can totally see it now. I can totally feel the solidness of the buildings and the three-dimensionality here. So this works really well. Just put in the right shapes in the right value, and it's pretty much done. There isn't much left to do here, just a couple of details here and there. So let's add a bit of dark to some areas like these windows, while avoiding some of the mid values. See? And yes, try and have your shapes a little more accurate than me. I'm like, I just want to make sure I complete this by the time by the end of the live stream, or by the time it is time to wrap it up. Let's see here. A few mid values here. I'll put them in just a second. Same here. Few light values here around the ground, kind of hinting at where the building meets the ground. We have a bunch of kind of, it's just the pattern of bricks. Let's do something interesting here. Let's bring it out by using negative shapes. So I'm gonna do this, keep this light, and so this feels like it's going inside into the distance. Same goes here, but then I'll keep it fairly light like that, you see here. And now we just observe and we start filling in the details that we kind of missed so far. So not a lot, but here we have some dark details on the left here. Hopefully it's dry already, and if not, it's not the end of the world that I missed earlier. We have this here as well. Sorry, I know I'm obstructing some of it with my hand. We have all of these small details within the shadows, like this line and this line here. A bunch of lines there, this here. Here I forgot a bit of a highlight, but that's fine. Again, I'm not as accurate as I could have been here with the steps especially. And some of the, where it feels off can be attributed to these small inaccuracies, but did I achieve the goal of practicing shapes? I have. Do I now better understand, or I have more experience in doing this? Yes, for sure. Do I understand the scene here really well? Yes, I do. I understand it's big shapes, big shadows with a few highlights, and then dark details. I'm much more familiar with the scene. It was a really fun process, and yeah, this is kind of a gist of what I'll be working on, again, for this future course. And this is kind of a nice little experiment in that, seeing how it goes. Let's add some last touches of the mid values, and we'll wrap it up. So we have these mid values here, all the way up to the roof, and including this dormer here, this wall, again in the shadow. What else do we have here in the shadow? Not a lot, actually. It's all just smaller details now. I could get this highlight there by just adding a bit more darkness like this. So that's a little neat trick for you. And then we'll switch to this smaller brush just to get a few final details, like this ledge here in the bars here. See? And there's a bunch of these lines here hinting at the structure. There are probably lights here. And all of these small details are kind of hints to the architecture, okay? So once you start including them, it gives the viewer more to look at, more to understand the scene based off of, and it's just great fun. But you don't have to have it. Look at how beautiful it looks already without all of that. Another one here, a couple of ledges there. See this? The rooftop here has this beautiful kind of diagonal pattern, like that I kind of struggle to achieve. And right at the edge, it does have this kind of a, there we go. This should actually be a lighter value, a darker value if I'm not mistaken. Not white, but rather mid value. And if you ask me, we're pretty much done. Let me let me see if there's anything else that's necessary. Like I do want to get this kind of a pipe or whatever that is, edge of wall, whatever, I don't know what that is. A few details here. Really not much. I'm just kind of now improvising and thinking, where do I want to add something maybe? There are a lot of lines like that that I kind of missed earlier. But overall, yeah, we got everything in. We got everything we wanted in. So let me show you. Let's turn it over here. My painting, is that realistic? I would say pretty realistic. We only used 3 values, white, black, gray. From this, did we worry about getting an even wash? Did we worry about having things flow together? No, not really. Does it still look good? Yes. Okay, this is what it's all about. This is really what I want this to be all about. Where can I show it to you? So you can, I'll just bring it back to this angle here. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. And now we can start addressing some of the final questions in the chat. Let's see. Daiji Shinomori, late to this live, but I'm glad I still caught you. Painting shapes looks challenging. I may or may not have done this in the past, but thanks for reinforcing this concept. John says, great idea using your computer as a light box. Yeah, for sure. It's really fun. Mark, my 2 Escoda Ultimo brushes from Jackson Art finally arrived yesterday. Awesome. Awesome. You will enjoy them. Let's see. Laura, I've used a graphite paper to trace, but you have to be careful not to press too hard or the lines will be too dark. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me try something here. Let me snap a picture of this painting, okay? So here's what I want to do. I'll take a picture of the painting and I'll put it just on the wall. Not on the wall, but just next to me there, so you can see both my face and the final result. Let me take a good picture here. A bit closer to the light. I hope that looks good. So that is the final painting. Let me send it over to myself. 1 second, because I want to put it right here next to me as I answer some of your questions. Yep, okay. So a few moments of dead air, and then I'll be back to addressing everything. But I do want you to see it properly on the screen. Tools, adjust color. I'm not going to open Photoshop now and slow down the entire computer, unfortunately. I think that will be a bad idea. So we'll work with the basic tools. They can still do the job pretty well. Okay, now let me bring the picture over. Image from my downloads folder. And I do want to say once again, thank you so much for sticking around. It's been a rough kind of beginning to the live stream. And I really appreciate you still being here. It means a lot to me. And hopefully you got your time's worth, let's say. So this is the painting. This is the painting. And let's bring over the reference. And I don't know, looks pretty darn good to me. What do you think? Let's bring this up here. So I like it. Of course, there's a lot more details I could put in, and I could be more accurate, but I actually really like the way it looks. So let me know your thoughts, and I'm going to move this aside and read some of your messages. Thank you so much for this, sir. Very interesting. Says Mary Madeline Terrace. Thank you so much. Alessandro, there are months I have to make this painting of my father and his wife, but I couldn't draw him correctly. So lately I tried the grid method. Things seem to be getting better with this. What a struggle. Yeah, the grid method works, but it's just so slow and redundant. I actually have a painting hung up on the wall in our bedroom of me and Ruth in on the boulevard sitting, and I did that with the grid. It took ages to draw, but I really, really like the end result, so worth it. Maybe I should buy the light board, yeah. Or just use a computer monitor or a window. Windows work. How can you do this when the highlights are so thin and close to the shadows? What do you mean, Nechi? Do you use masking fluid when the highlights are thin and close to... so the way you saw me do it, I'm just being a little careful and painting with a smaller brush, and if I need to let it dry for longer, I will. But for the most part, I find that by the time I finish one part, the other part dries. So that's pretty much it. It's not a problem at all. I hope that makes sense. But let me know if you can refine the question, make it more specific, maybe I'll better understand it. Maybe I didn't fully understand it. I found a free app called Painting Grid Maker that places a grid over your reference photo. Works great. Cool. Art by Lisa, thanks for this. I'll watch the rest later. I have to head out. Thank you for being here. And by the way, Nechi, I'm not using masking fluid almost ever. I just work really carefully. Sometimes I will. And if you don't like masking fluid, like me, you can use just a thin piece of tape, masking tape. You just put it on. It can also help sometimes. Sometimes it loosens up a bit, so you have to be careful and make sure that it's still in its place and maybe push it a little harder onto the paper. That's the only downside I saw of this. I enjoy any pace you want when you paint the runs. Relaxing either way. Thank you so much. Visual ASMR. Thank you. Harsh says keep it up. Thank you. Colored Pencil Addict. Hi. Thanks. I'm just learning. So glad I found your channel. Thank you so much for being here, Colored Pencil. Alessandro Liron, I missed the part where you explained why you use this method instead of going for the mid-tones first and then the darkest ones. Just for training? Yeah, it's just for training on painting shapes accurately. So I don't care about getting all of the mid values and then the shadows. What I care about is how can I draw this shape accurately in the right value? How can I draw this shape accurately in the right value? And remember, shapes here, they're clear because we posterize the picture. Sometimes the shapes won't be as clear. There will be a lot of gradual transitions that you have to take in mind. This is why I want to build it up slowly as a process. We started, as you've seen, with something much simpler, just two values. And then we worked our way towards this, which is, again, what you're seeing on screen. I just want to show you that it's real. Three values, right? It's the same thing here. So you slowly work your way towards more complex shapes and more complex edges. And the more you do that, the more you'll notice you have the ability to do that when you're looking at the actual full information, which is this photo with color. Okay? It just makes things, the shape so much clearer. Like now you see the mid value that is the shadow on this wall. Now you see that this is just one big plus cross shape, and that there is a huge shadow on the wall here to the left. Sorry, hiccup, to the left here. Okay, right around here. See? So, it's just building it up towards it. Daiji says, I do see the realism. Cool, cool, cool. Mary Madeline says, Terrace says, amazing. Daiji, silly, obvious question. Can this be done with ink wash? Will it be as effective? I'm not that proficient with ink washes, but if you can get the value right, why not? All you have to do is you can do this with any medium as long as you get the value accurate and you put it in the right place. So you want to practice getting the right value and you want to practice getting the right shape. And again, this is a shameless plug. This is exactly what the course is going to be about. It's going to be about getting the right value, getting the right shape, getting the right edge, building up your skill so that you're able to do that, how to edit your pictures to make it possible to draw them, and how to draw them accurately, and finally how to do what we just did and get a realistic result. That's the gist of it. Colored Pencil Addict says, awesome, thank you so much. Awesome demo, Liron says, John, thank you so much, John. I want to try something like that, but my skill in architecture drawing is so low. Nechi, I get it, yeah. So first off, again, we talked about tracing and all of that, but here's a fun thing to try out. Try focusing on just one small part of the scene. So let me show you. Decide that you will only paint this section. Now, what do we have here? We have a triangle, so triangle, and follow the angles. This angle goes kind of like this, bottom. Then this is not like this 90 degree, it's a bit more to the left. Can you see it? A bit more to the left, connect the two, and you got the side of that tower. Then go over the right side. Just look at the angles and try and draw them as you see them. Not always easy. Again, it shouldn't be easy, but that's exactly what we're going to practice. And if you can just draw each shape close to what you're seeing and then paint it close to what you're seeing, then you should be okay. Okay, I know it's not easy necessarily, but it should work. Hi. Let's see what else. מה קורה? סיימת? סבבה. לא. Okay, maybe we'll have a Ruth cameo. Bye. She's crazy now. The cameos are gonna be impossible. Maybe later. נראה להירגע קצת. Okay, let's see. She's being all cute there. Have to try this later. I do see the realism. Says Meisuko. I'm very happy to hear. Okay. Boy. Shalom. Never. Mary Madeline Terrace, it's really fun to watch. Thank you. Nidhi says, GI, not sure what that means. Dana, where... 1 second, the chat jumped. Where to find these reference photos? The stuff I find always just as weird compositions. So Dana, check out the description box below the video. You'll find a link to all of these pictures, both the original and the edited versions, and use them. Use my own pictures. I'll have them there. You'll see the original and then the edited version. So you should have everything there. Feel free to get started with that. My best suggestion would be to take your own photos. I get it. I get the struggle of finding good photos. I just have such a big kind of database of photos right now that it's not a problem. But it was in the beginning because, yeah, the composition is weird. The colors are too shiny and it looks very artificial. I don't like these artificial scenes. They tend to not look good as a final painting. So yeah, I would recommend you either get started with my photos, and I have, if you go check out other videos, there are also the reference photos for those, and take your own as much as you can. That'll be the best thing you can do. Pixabay is a good resource, yes, Dave. And you can also search for black and white in particular. Sometimes you'll find that you'll find better results that way. Results that are a little simpler. Next. Marjorie Johnson, is there something in front of double arched windows? In front of the double arched windows. So what are the double arched windows? Oh, I see what you mean. Could it be like a street lamp or something like that, maybe? Do you refer to this part here? Maybe. I don't know. You know, I haven't thought of that, but maybe that's what it is. No, it isn't. You can see it here. I mean, it's just the drain pipe here. I think that's what you're referring to. If you were referring to something else, let me know. But yeah, I didn't even look at that. That's the thing. Don't look at the things. Look at the shapes. Okay? Just generally, of course, I know you're asking a question, but generally speaking. Marius, thanks, Liron. Absolutely beautiful and inspiring. I will go try it out. Cool, I'm happy to hear. Colored Pencil says very realistic. Laura, really enjoyed this lesson. This Liron already downloaded reference photos. Amazing work. I have my watercolor week planned now. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. By the way, if you have Photoshop, here's what you can do. Take this photo and the other photo I showed you. Try it out. I don't remember if I tried or not, but take the ones from my folder and put them in Photoshop or other software. The original ones, sorry, not these. Take this one and this one. And try to do 3 values, like we did here, here, where is it? Here. Like we did it with this one. Try and do 3 values for these. See if you can get like a dark, medium, and white. If you have a software that allows you to do that. Maybe you know what I'll do? I'll do something fun. I'll add to my course a kind of reference folder. Okay, so this is a good idea actually, and I'm going to write it down. Reference bank. Reference bank. So you heard it now, reference bank. So for this course, once it's out, I'll also add a folder of hopefully like 40 pics that I took that I think are good for practice, and you can use those. I'll add that as a part of the course. It's actually a great idea. I'm happy that we thought of it together. I mean, I thought of it, but I'm happy that you gave me the idea. Thank you so much. Really enjoy this. Anthony Joseph should try this plein air urban sketching. Just carry one single color, two brushes. Yeah, that could work great. And then you're super minimalist. You don't even need a backpack or anything. Just put the stuff on you. Thank you, Colored Pencil Addict. Felicia N. Nice exercise, Liron. Thanks. Mary Metal Interest. Thank you for sharing this. Dave, get some color in your life. Check out Dave's channel, by the way. As always, I recommend Dave Lowe. Looks fantastic, Liron. Very valuable lesson. Learned much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Scars. That looks very good, Liron. I need to try that. I thought those sirens were coming for you. Glad they were not. Were there sirens? I don't know. Isabel, I didn't hear them, but that's funny. It is amazing. Thank you so much, Isabel. Oh, and by the way, Marjorie, I hope you're feeling well. Yeah, it's been a week since we last spoke. Crossing fingers that you're feeling better. Let me know. Feel free to shoot me an email too. And sorry if I missed one already. I'll go over them. Julie looks very nice. Thank you, Beth Odell. Great lesson, Liron, from Winnipeg, Canada. Thank you so much. Colored Pencil Addict. I like it. Very good. Oliver's, I think it looks great, man. Great info. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Everyone, thank you. Jose, so helpful lesson. Thank you, Liron. Thank you so much, Jose. Ambi, mine looks like it's put together from different shapes. It's not like it is a whole thing. Did you paint the same thing, Ambi? Send me an email. I want to see it. And if you painted something else, I want to see it too. And yeah, I'll send a reference too if it's something else, and I'll definitely see if I can comment on something. Sometimes what will happen is you just don't see it, and I'll look at it and I'll be like, that's actually perfect. So just putting it out there. James L. Baker, thank you, Liron. Another great live stream. Each time I feel like a guest in your studio. Thank you so much. Your warmth, generosity, and genuineness brightens my day. Thank you. Thank you so much, James. Tommy UL, amazing stuff, thank you. Dana, do the best part, take off the tape. Oh yeah, I'll take off the tape. Hidden Spider-Man, how do you give a gray shade? Like, how do I get a gray shade? I just mix more water. You can see it on the palette. But you have to work at it slowly. Here you can see my mug from up top. Here's the nose, here are the eyes. You have to really try it out. So you mix and mix and mix, and then you see what it looks like on paper. Is it too light or is it too dark? You add water, try again. Is it too light? You add black and try again. Okay, you have to really test it out. Always have a test paper handy because they're very necessary, I find, especially in these value studies where you want the values to be accurate because it's the one thing you do. By the way, I do think the battery had something to do with the slowness, not just the resolution, because now it's like, okay. Yes, you can do this in ink too. Shalini Joseph, another awesome lesson painting. Thank you, Liron, watching from Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much. Wow, Liron, that greatly helped me. Thank you so much, Nechi. Dave says, hi, Ruth. Nechi, it's giving me confidence to try something like this. Yeah, sure, and don't worry about the flow and all of that. Just work on shapes. Individual shapes, the right value. If you can get that done, you will get a beautiful result. Mustaq Alam, love from India. Thank you so much. Omeleti, I was called in for a meeting. Quick question, what brush did you use? The fat brush. Was it this one? It's just a Barocco, size 16. I only used these three. The one you haven't seen maybe is the Perla 1/4 inch sword brush. You see that it's sword? Let me show you. It's actually, let me flatten it a bit. It's short on this side, and then it goes longer on this side. It's a bit hard to see, but it's a sword brush. It's not a rigger brush. And I love swords because they have a good capacity and a thin pointy edge. I hope this is the one we're talking about. Mary Madeline Terrace, I really want to use watercolor. What kind of videos, these kinds of videos inspire me so much, but I just find using it a bit difficult, especially when controlling the water. Any essential tips, sir? Yeah, isolate the thing that's giving you trouble. Do you have trouble mixing the right value, like enough water? Practice only that, and there will be a section in the course about that. You really want to practice doing a value scout. So, and I've talked about this before, so you have this kind of a table, if you will, with different parts to it. Sorry, I know you can barely see. And what you do is just practice getting the right value. So first, will it work? Let's get rid of the mug. Maybe it's running it. I don't know. But in any case, you'll get the idea. So you put in a very light wash, and then you try and get it a little darker, and then you try and get it a little darker, and then you try and get it a little darker. But here's the key to doing this. You practice only that. Don't combine it with painting something like we just painted here. Just work on that. Practice this. You have to get a grasp of this first. Before you can actually paint the shape in the right value, you need to learn how to mix the right value, okay? You need to learn how to draw the shape in the right shape, how to draw it correctly, accurately. So there are quite a lot of skills that go into that, and I promise to try and address all of them in the course. If not all of them, then most of them. Then I'll try it. Thanks, mate. Mark, search Pixabay for monochrome. That's good advice. Omiletio, that's exciting. A reference photo library. Is this for the watercolor course? The new course. I'm going to add it to the new course. I can probably add it just for everyone. You know what? I'll just create one. I'll just create a free one and send it over. I'll post it on a YouTube video. Marjorie Johnson, need to edit my own posts. I now live life at 20 miles per hour. I hope you're feeling better. That's the most important part. Laura, heading to work. Enjoy your day, evening, everyone. Thank you for being here, Laura. Oliver's, absolutely great idea to add a reference pick folder to your course. I spent so much time. I'll just add it to the bonus folder. Or maybe we'll see about that. I spent so much time looking for reference picks, probably more time than I spent actually painting. Dave says, thanks again. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. Domo, I caught you in the middle of my break. Great to see you, man. Thank you for being here. You can watch the thing. Of course, I won't remove it. Yeah, thank you so much. Lord Eldridge, I think it looks sick. Thank you. Shalini Joseph, sorry, Liron, forgot to mention that I sent you a monochrome painting to critique. Thanks in advance. Yeah, I will see it. I saw that there was a couple of ones I missed. I will check it out. And with that, I want to thank you so much for being here. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me, and all I'm trying to do is create like the best content, as much of it as possible. That sometimes means I'll have to go into my shell and paint a bit more in private, of course, because I gotta improve too. But hopefully I can continue doing this forever. If you're having trouble with watercolor, if you're feeling down, if you don't feel like it's connecting, I really think the best thing to do is to isolate the issue. Understand what it is. Do you have a hard time mixing the right value? A hair, Ruth's hair. Do you have a hard time? Yuck. Do you have a hard time? Not the hair, but yuck, I touched my finger with paint. Do you have a hard time getting the accurate shape in? Do you have a hard time blending the edges or controlling them? Isolate your problem and just focus on that. Practice that. And always compete with yourself and try to beat how good you were yesterday and become better the next day and the next day and the next day. What you see here to my left is the result of 6 years of practice, and I'm like nowhere near where I want to be. There's such a long way to go still. Okay? So be easy on yourself. It will take time to connect all the skills, but if you do it every day, and if you continue pushing the envelope and working on the things you're weak at, instead of just painting the same thing that you're comfortable with, you will improve. Okay, everyone can do it. I'll do another video where I show you my older paintings. You'll see I sucked. I wasn't fully natural with the brush. To be quite honest with you, I saw some people that feel much more natural than me, that I know they just got started, and I saw their progress, and they got it much faster. So it's not about the speed, it's about continuing to practice. And if you do that, you will get there. Feel free to reach out again, email, messages, comments. I'll try and see as many as I can and answer as many as I can, as many specific questions that you send me. But above all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, for being patient. In the beginning of the live, it was really super slow. Cannot say this enough, really. I cannot thank you enough. And yeah, I will see you again in another video. Saturday is going to be a talking video, just a conversation. I'll share with you again the ups and downs of the process. It's going to be a fun one, quick one, not a process. And yeah, I will see you again real soon. Take care, stay healthy and safe. We'll talk again real soon.